Oh, weird. It's backward.
Good.
Mhm.
Good. Okay. So, hello everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started. It's a couple minutes after. Hopefully, some more people will come, but we can go ahead and start our meeting. My name is Jessica Newman. I'm with Science and Engineering Libraries. I'm from Steenbeck Library, and I'm part of the new steering committee for this coming year, 2019-2020, which has some returning members and some new members. So the steering members, and you can just give a wave. It's Dave Bloom, Amy Glassell, Brooke Shake, Kelly Hughes, Ellen Jacks. Did I miss any? Beth Harper. I think that's everything. Oh, and there's Juice with the treat. So please, at any point, get up and help yourself to snacks. So we will jump right in. Are there any announcements? Yes, Heather.
Hello, everybody. My name is Heather Newman. Oh no. I'm in the Science and Engineering Libraries, and I sent out an email to Libraries Lib yesterday, but I just want to also make an announcement to remind everybody or let people know about the Distinguished Lecture Series lecture by Samantha Skinner that is happening next Monday in Shannon Hall. Doors at 7, the talk is at 7:30, and it's a way to commemorate the 1832 treaty with the Ho-Chunk that allowed campus to be on this land. And there's going to be a talk about what that means sort of moving forward and collaboration and respecting the land. So it'd be a way to sort of understand the history. So please come. Thanks. It's open to the public.
Thank you, Heather. Does anybody else have any announcements? Okay. So we will go ahead and get started. So our first topic agenda item is shoutouts done by Amy Glassell.
All right, great. Thank you for the reminder, and it was sent out that anybody can submit a shout out. There's a form off the Librarians Assembly website, and everybody is encouraged to send suggestions. There was a note in the email that said suggestions for the theme of September is start of the semester superheroes. Shout outs to any colleagues or team who did great work kicking off the fall semester. Shout outs, of course, on any theme are always welcome. So a couple of ones were received. We'd like to recognize, or someone would like to recognize Ian Benton of College Library. And they noted the submitter, yay, see you here. Well, you might be here virtually. Ian did a fabulous job wrangling librarians to staff the first day first aid events. His enthusiasm and organization really helped to make this event a success with a high impact on students. Hey, great. A second submission was to recognize the library website team. So shout out to the LWS for being website rock stars and getting a fantastic update to our library website in place before the start of the fall semester. So, yeah, and there I was going through past ones. This may have been recognized at the May meeting. It wasn't noted in the minutes, but I wanted to at least note this. There was a shout out to Alex Krensky, who has now since left the libraries, but I wanted to be sure to acknowledge that Alex was with the UW Archives. Alex organized the first ever drag show in Memorial Library, and it was spectacular. The performers were amazing. The crowd was ecstatic in celebration of the LGBTQIA plus history and presence in UW-Madison was exhilarating. Well done, Alex. So, yes, everybody say yay. So please, we encourage you to recognize yourselves, your colleagues, through these shout-outs. And we'll try to continue to let folks, your other colleagues, be aware of the great work that we're all doing. Thanks.
Thank you, Amy. So Dave reminded me of an important thing I forgot, which was to allow new attendees to the business meeting to introduce themselves. So are there any new attendees in the room? Would you mind introducing yourself, Kristen?
Hi everyone, my name is Kristen Lansdowne. I'm the Diversity Resident Librarian for Open Educational Resources.
Awesome. Welcome, Kristen. Okay, anybody else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Leah. I am the resident librarian for Teaching and Learning.
Welcome, Leah. All right, so next on our agenda is the report from the University Library Committee, and Ellen Jacks will be giving that report.
And I did make a bunch of edits a few minutes ago, so I might need to refresh that.
Let me see if I can refresh it.
Thanks. So bear with me. Hi, I'm Ellen Jacks. I'm one of the elected members for the University Library Committee. And for those of you who are newer or need a refresher, the University Library Committee is part of our shared governance structure. And we are directly under the auspice of the Secretary for the Faculty. So there's a lot of faculty involvement, but of course there's a lot of good library involvement as well. And so here's just a little overview of what we talked about at our September 10th meeting. We approved the minutes from April 24th with some minor edits. And just as a reminder, what we talked about April 24th is we got a nice overview of Ebling Library. We met over at Ebling, learned a bit about their services and their spaces. And then Carrie Nelson led us in a lovely discussion about scholarly communications and the various programs and different ways that the Office of Scholarly Communications can help us, and particularly faculty, in their research on campus. So now that those minutes are approved, as well as our 2018-2019 annual report, they are on the ULC website, which is off of the library's website, about, and then one of the links there. And I can get that link to Kelly for the minutes from these are sent out. So you can, just as a reminder, you can review any past approved minutes, annual reports and things, and learn who all the members are of ULC, the University Library Committee, on our website. So what we did talk about then in the September 10th meeting, these minutes will be posted after our October meeting. We started kind of a new structure to the start of the school year, the academic year, and this is something that we're going to take going forward. So we're always going to start ULC with a nice overview of the libraries. Lisa Carter provided that. Every ULC member received one of our new libraries maps so they can make sure that they understand some of the different key points of our services and where they and their students and people they work with can go and get assistance from the libraries. We did an introduction to ULC and about its different role that we can have in shared governance. And we're starting to take a look at our charge. The ULC charge is very outdated. And so we have formed a subgroup that is going to be meeting for the first time this afternoon to start looking at the charge, hopes that we can start having discussions at forthcoming meetings. And then finally, Jules gave us a lovely presentation on Go Big Read, so the different program and each, the program as a whole, how the books are selected, and each ULC member was able to walk away with their own copy of Poison Squad, as well as a lot of discussion points. So another thing that we're trying this year is making sure that there are some good takeaways, so faculty and other ULC members can go back to their units and say, this is what we talked about, this is what we need to do. So the takeaways for this meeting were go forth and promote Go Big Read and the libraries. So it's kind of a nice introduction to the libraries and make sure everybody knows where they can go and get help and how they can use Go Big Read in their classrooms or in their community. And if you're interested in knowing more about ULC or staying apprised with our activities, you can please send an email to join-ulcinfo-lib. And this is for people who are not members of ULC, but just want to get any updates. We send out the meeting dates and agenda items to that email list as well. Any questions?
Just want to reiterate that they are open.
Yes, thank you. For those of you on the recording, you might not have heard, Carrie Cruz reminded me that these are open meetings. Anybody may attend. So if you are interested, please join ULC info, and then you can get the agendas and the meeting dates. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Ellen. So next we'll have a report on the Academic Staff Assembly from Tam Shiba.
So because this is the first meeting of the year, the Academic Staff Assembly is an elected body currently made up of 119 districts that represent the interests of academic staff in governance and policy development at UW-Madison, and is one of the governance bodies that advises the Chancellor. District assignments are currently based on job code, division, and department, and representatives are elected for 2-year terms. All assembly meetings are open to the public and held in room 272 Bascom Hall. Although I think some of them in the spring will be held in a different room, but we will get that information to you from 3:30 p.m. to approximately 5 p.m. And the meeting schedule and other details are available from actstaff.wisc.edu. So highlights from the September meeting, Aaron Birdbear and Omar Kohler presented the Our Shared Future Heritage Marker, which acknowledges the historical relationship between the Ho-Chunk people and the United States and how the University of Wisconsin-Madison came to occupy what had long been Ho-Chunk land. There's also a call for proposals about integrating history and culture into curricula. And as Heather mentioned, the Samantha Skenendor lecture, September 23rd, that's a Monday, 7:30 p.m. in Memorial Union. And if you go to oursharedfuture.wisc.edu, you can see more information about that. 2 resolutions passed all aye, nominating Dan Varnish to the nominating committee and celebrating 125 years of sifting and winnowing. The 2018 to 2019 annual activities report was approved. And there are also a lot of academic staff opportunities. So if you go to the actstaff.wisc.edu website and see links under governance, professional development, and get involved, you can see more about these. First, the Mentor Match program needs mentors. So if you have 3 or more years of academic staff experience, you can consider signing up to be a mentor. You can also join the Madison Academic Staff Network. Upcoming events include a fall breakfast. Membership for the year is $15. And you can also join the Academic Staff Professionals Representation Organization, which supports our lobbyists' fees and to access to information in the Capitol, and to maintain the ability to look out for legislative modifications that might affect academic staff. So see the website aspro.net for membership rates. You can also apply for professional development grants, participate in academic staff chats, go to shared governance reception, and attend title and total compensation project forum the week of November 12th. So that brings me to the next item. There was a title and total compensation project update where they said that changes that will go into effect on March 1st will be people's titles, how work is described, which will now be a standard job summary supported by 4 to 5 responsibilities and the salary structure. What will stay the same will be your job responsibilities and tasks, your supervisor and unit, and your pay and benefits. So this information and more is available through hr.wisc.edu and the title and total compensation study link. Let's see. The standard job description library will be released on November 12th. Until then, the project is still adding additional standard job descriptions. And the forum of the week of November 12th will include role plays for supervisor and supervisee conversations about their standard job description mappings. And those actual conversations will take place December 1st through February 15th. And in response to a question from Wisconsin Public Radio, the Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration noted that the TTC project is about finding the numbers around staff salaries and then planning a strategy similar to when money was needed for the faculty salary strategies and for graduate assistant salary increases. He noted that any compensation plan would be a long-term plan and that divisions would not need to suddenly find money for salary increases if people are found to be underpaid. So there's not really a strategy for the funding piece yet without knowing the numbers first. And finally, the Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration also presented the Administrative Transformation Project, ATP, which is a finance and HR administrative infrastructure transformation, basically to consolidate systems and streamline the workflow. They're pre-planning through May, which includes software selection and establishing partners, and then planning will begin next November with implementation to follow. The Vice Chancellor is currently committed to making data available. His words, I believe that the data want to be free. And academic staff can provide input by participating in the ATP Ambassador Program. I don't know much about it, but until a project email is established, anyone interested is encouraged to email the Vice Chancellor at vcfa@vc.wisc.edu. And that's it. Any questions?
I have a question. Yeah. So I have a stack of these academic staff professionals representation organization flyers that appeared in my mailbox, and I wondered if maybe they were intended for this event. And I thought maybe we could distribute them. I can just set them on a table and people can pick them up. Does that sound good?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you, Sam. Okay, so next we're going to hear from the Professional Concerns Committee, and Ellen Jacks will be representing them.
Hello again. I'm still Ellen Jacks. So now I'm putting on my professional concerns hat. I am the new chair for this year after lovely leadership from Heather Schumann. Current membership includes Ian Benton, who's not here, Raina Bloom, Heather, and myself. So I'll give a plug right now, and I'll give one at the end. If you want to get involved, this is a great way to get involved in what's happening in your unit, across the libraries. We need 2 new members to join professional concerns. So there it is. What we are charged to do is we're responsible for making recommendations to libraries administration regarding matters of concern brought up by staff. That's a very kind of truncated version of what's in the Librarians Assembly bylaws. So how are we doing that? We strive to send out monthly reports. They're a little less frequent over the summer, and there will be one coming up at the end of September that will include anything we received in August as well as for September. Then after that, we'll get back to our monthly report for the rest of the academic year. And what's in the monthly reports is we gather feedback in several ways, primarily through listening sessions. We usually call them Ad 15s, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But also we have an email if anyone just wants to submit something that they're concerned about. We'll distill all the information, strip any identifying markers, and send that out in our monthly report so everybody understands and knows what people are concerned about, what people are talking about. And these are action driven. So if there's something that we feel like we need to pursue, then we pursue it. And so a lot of this is coming from the Ad 15s. There's going to be one after this down in 362. We had one yesterday after the all staff meeting where we had a nice little conversation on various topics. So this is where you can just show up. We're adding 15 minutes to an end of an existing meeting that you may already be attending, such as library assembly events, where you can talk about a matter of concern, converse with your colleagues, discuss different points. Again, we distill all that information and use it as needed. So example of an action-focused item, one of our listening sessions from last year, kind of mid-year or so, talked about, I'm not sure what happens in the hiring process, how are some candidates brought in versus others in different units. And so as a result of that, HR came and presented here the next Librarians Assembly business meeting to talk about their hiring practices. So that's one example of action focused. Another one which I did not put on here it was, I believe, our March or April monthly report. There was a lot of concern over confusion over the service delivery model. We wound up being able to talk about that here at the business meeting and had then a large Ad 15 after that, which constituted a lot of the monthly report, which turned out to be May through July, that was sent out last month. So that's how some of these action-driven items work. So again, if you want to be involved, please send me an email, or you can send an email to our general email list up here. and we need 2 new members. We're going to continue to do our Ad 15s and any other programming as we see fit based on what is happening in our larger community. Are there any questions? Anything I missed?
Telling people they should join again.
So yes, please join Professional Concerns. We need 2 new members. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, so next we have a report from Dave Bloom about Cassie.
Hi everyone, I'm Dave Bloom. This year I am one of the Cassie reps. Ellen Jacks, a woman of many, many hats, is the other Cassie rep. Thus far, there hasn't been much movement on the Cassie front. Incidentally, Cassie Committee for Academic Staff Interests? Issues. I should probably get that straight. We are one of them. We may soon be that plus other things, depending on kind of how things shake out and what we discuss later in this meeting. But as of right now, all I've really done is gotten mine and Ellen's names on the appropriate lists so that we can kind of liaise with the other Cassies, get to the right meetings, get some information from those folks. And I also should bring up the point that we also have a member of ASEC here, our representative from ASEC, Deb Shapiro. ASEC is Academic Staff Executive Committee. So we kind of are represented on two ways kind of to greater academic staff group type things. So rather than belabor any points, I don't really have much information to share. So that's going to be my presentation for today. I'll turn it back over to Jessica.
Are there any questions for Dave? Thank you. Ooh, the treasurer report, who I think should win award for the fancy slides. Oh yes, let me know when. Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm Brooke Schenk, and I am the new treasurer. Pamela and I got the account switched over to me. She's still the backup on the account, UW Credit Union. The other kind of main thing is we're trying to figure out a way that we can have people like electronically be reimbursed or pay things. The credit union people said that was possible, and then when we set up the account said it's not possible, business account. So we're still working on that, trying to help with people don't have cash. So this was the starting balance when I took over, basically. And that's just what's in there. And then the only expenditures we really had in the past couple months were some reimbursements for food for library lunch, and then for something from the high tea. So this is what our current balance is. That is all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, so I believe it's Beth and Kelly are doing an update for the programming committee.
I'm Beth Harper. Kelly is taking minutes, so she is the other co-chair of the programming committee. I'm going to read off the slides. So what we do, we organize social informative events for library staff. And the last few years, this has been the annual high tea, which is held in April. And at that high tea, we give out the Librarian Assembly Awards. There's an annual book sharing that we have in December. So for a change, we get to talk about fun books rather than, academic. Well, some of us think academic books are fun. We sponsor Eat, Talk, Run, which is an hour-long program. In a dream world, we'd have it monthly, but it often ends up being 4 or 5 times a year, 2 or 3 short talks on different topics, and snacks. And then library lunch 1 to 2 times a year, usually in the spring and summer, just a lunch here where you can talk to people outside your units about what you do. Going to the next slide. We do organize the recognition, the shout outs that Amy Glassell presented earlier, and Librarian Assembly Awards for staff. That is a process whereby staff get to nominate their colleagues for a variety of awards. So who we are, Kelly Hughes, and myself are the co-chairs. Amy Glassell is the member of the committee. We do have a committee, and we really encourage you to join in. We want as many members as possible. So you can email laprograms@library.wisc.edu if you're interested, or you can talk to me or Kelly. Any questions, suggestions? You know, the programming we do, that's what's been working, but if you have suggestions for programs you'd like to see or ways to tweak programs, please let us know.
Thanks, Beth. Ooh, okay, so this one is me. So if you were at the all staff meeting yesterday, we talked about this a bit. If you weren't, I'm just gonna go through it again. So we've been talking, it sounds like for a while, the Librarians Assembly has been talking about adding GLS University staff officially to Librarians Assembly. And what that means, as I understand, is that we would need to amend our bylaws to allow university staff to be part of the Librarians Assembly. Once university staff, if we did that, what would happen is then university staff could serve on the steering committee and university staff would have voting rights. And we are thinking about this because we want to kind of further unify GLS staff. We would like this committee, if possible, or this assembly to be able to represent all staff as fully as possible. And we want to make sure that this actually seems useful, though. Maybe there's not interest in doing this. So we're sending out a survey to evaluate what people feel about this, if this seems like it would be a useful structural change. And I would like to say that I'm pretty new to this process. I think some of you have been thinking about it for a while. So before I go to the next thing, is there other things that you all would add or any thoughts that you have on this? Heather.
So I think I've said this before, but just to make sure everyone hears this as well. I was a CASI rep last year, and in talking with other CASIs, they are also often including university staff, either officially or unofficially, or just working with university staff. So it wouldn't be as though we're the only CASI doing this.
Thank you.
And for a little bit of historical background, part of why university staff weren't really members of Librarians Assembly is they used to have unions to represent them, and that was where they could go for professional concern and questions, and the unions pretty much don't exist.
Thank you. Any other perspectives or thoughts to add to this part of it? Okay, so the next thing is that turns out there are lots of rules to be in a Librarians Assembly, which I'm just starting to learn about. And Dave Bloom and I looked through these yesterday and tried to really understand what we need to do next. And we're glad to have you all in the room to help make sure that we're proceeding in the proper way on this. So in order to propose an amendment, as we see it through these laws, either the people from the Assembly can propose it and they need 12 signatures to make it a proposal that can be submitted, or else the steering committee can propose it. Does that sound right? Do you think that you also need 12 signatures if the steering committee proposes it? No. Okay, so good. We're all on the same page with that. Once it's been proposed, we need to distribute the agenda for the next meeting. We need to introduce it, and the amendment can be made, but we have to have 2/3 votes of membership, and we need to have a quorum present, which is 15 members of the Librarians Assembly. And we wanted to make sure that the steering committee would count towards that 15. I don't know if anyone knows the answer. Okay, we feel like yes, the steering committee should count towards the 15. So does that make sense for the voting process? Right. And for historical perspective, I know that there hasn't been a lot of votes done in this room. How have they traditionally been done in the past? Is it like a raise your hand kind of thing, or is it a ballot that's been distributed?
The votes, I remember, were for steering committee members, and it was a ballot that was distributed. It was a paper ballot. We haven't had enough nominees lately to actually have elections. We could have elections.
Yes.
So the last time I was on the steering committee, we were set up to do an online ballot should we need an election. So it seems like online ballots is an option as well.
Okay. We'll ask you more questions. I have some questions about the details of that, but that's good to know. Was that just for the people in the room, or was that for anybody not there?
Anybody out there?
Okay. Okay, so where we are now, we're sending out the survey. We've already sent it out. I'm going to resend it out this week, and we'll start evaluating the results. And we're kind of thinking through this process as we go along. So we're going to get the survey responses. The steering committee is going to review them. We're thinking that the next thing that we're going to do is if we review them and they appear favorable to this amendment, then we're going to make the proposal. And I've already asked you those questions, so I don't think you need to answer them, the two that I have italicized there. And then if at least 15 members come to the next business meeting where we've proposed it, then we can pass the amendment. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Thank you for your work on this. And what would be represented at the business meeting from the survey? Like, what information would people see from that survey to make the decision?
So we're kind of waiting to see what the survey said. We thought what we might do is kind of not present the raw survey data, but kind of do an analysis of it and say this is, in general, like these many people were favorable towards this. These are some kind of general directions where we heard comments for it or against it. That was our thought process. How does that sound to people? Do you have other thoughts of a better way to approach it?
Not necessarily a better way, but I'm just wondering, so I'm guessing that people will self-identify as either university staff or academic staff. And are you looking for, given the number of university staff that exist, and I'm sure we can find out what that number is, are we looking for a minimum response from university staff as an indicator of approval or not, or whatever comes up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that we should definitely consider that. If this room has any thoughts on that, we should share that. The steering committee should definitely kind of decide what our criteria are. Okay, and I'm seeing a few hands there.
I think Amy's suggestion of allowing people to self-identify as academic staff or university staff in your survey sounds like a good idea, just so you can get a sense for how folks are responding to it. Also, in promoting the next Librarians Assembly business meeting, making sure that you're very clear about we need at least 15 members because we're going to do a vote. I know many people do attend via your live stream, so making sure that that's clear. Even though university staff probably won't be able to vote on that, it might be helpful to have them in that space as well so they can ask questions.
Great, thank you. And yes, to clarify, the survey has already been made and we do have people identify whether they're academic staff or university staff on the survey.
Just because it may take a while to process the raw data that will be presented when the proposal is made, I was wondering if it might be better to have the proposal at one meeting and then wait for the next business meeting to actually have a vote.
I was just saying that same comment.
Okay, so propose at one meeting and then wait for the next business meeting to have the vote.
Yeah, just I'm thinking that to make an informed vote, we should give people time to consider the survey response and not hear the survey response.
So you're saying to make an informed vote, people should have a chance to think and process the survey responses. Okay, does that align with section 2 that the steering committee should introduce the amendments immediately following the receipt of the proposal? That's just introducing and that's not putting them up for a vote, right? Okay. Okay, I think that's a great suggestion. So we'll propose it at one meeting and the next meeting will be the voting meeting.
And that would do.
If it turns out that the survey results are overwhelmingly in one direction or another, I mean, do we need to delay if there's no sense that there's like something we really need to figure out and spend time thinking about? Just a thought. We could vote on whether to vote then or to delay the vote. Just an idea.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying if the survey responses are very clear, like this is what people want, is it necessary to delay the vote to another meeting? We will, thank you, Carrie. We will ponder that question.
So of course, we don't yet have the proposal, correct?
We don't yet have the proposal, we just have it.
And because the proposal has to do with general bylaws, so as not to sort of delay things further, I mean, would a change in bylaws then need to address things such as those things which are academic staff, CASI related, that's voted by a different group, that the university, how does that all have to, can we make an amendment to the bylaws without getting into the nitty gritty? I guess, is that the plan, is to try to do that, or? Because.
That's a good question.
So for that reason, that might, and delaying so that we can consider the proposal and.
Sure.
Yeah.
To understand how it affects the
actual running of and our obligations for shared governance on both sides.
Okay, so, and as Heather was saying, it does sound like there's a model already where CASIs do have university staff involved, so maybe there's other current models that we can learn from for how they've been doing that.
So just one more question. I'm wondering if Library Assembly has reached out to the University Congress reps in helping to sort of push engagement with university staff?
We have not, but we could definitely do that. Yes, I'm not familiar with the University Congress.
I feel like this was brought up at our last meeting, so it was and I know a lot of us were new at that meeting too. So it was a conversation that we were having of reaching out to our University Congress reps to help promote and get feedback and buy-in.
Okay, thank you. So perhaps the steering committee should discuss that further. Okay. Any last thoughts on this? All right. Thank you all so much for your input. It's very helpful. It's definitely a process that seems to be unfolding as we go along. And we want to do it well. All right. So last but certainly not least, I am going to turn it over to Jules Armstrong and Ellen Jacks for, is that right? Yes.
Okay, hello everyone. Ellen and I are here to talk to you about the EDC Planning and Assessment Committee's work on the EDC or Diversity Strategic Plan. So just a quick overview. Can I get a show of hands? How many people were at the all-staff meeting yesterday? Okay, most people in the room. So we'll do a quick overview and maybe save time for questions about the Diversity Strategic Plan. So folks on the Planning and Assessment Subcommittee, Jay Ray and Alex Krensky have served as co-chairs. Myself, Dave Bloom, Deb Hellman, Ellen Jacks, and Mai Zhang. A quick overview of the timeline. So this work has been going on for quite some time. We began with the EDC task force, who identified the need for a strategic plan. Then there was a diversity strategic plan task force that worked to develop it. In 2017, there were engagement sessions, and in 2018, feedback sessions. And then midway through 2018, the EDC Planning and Assessment Subcommittee was formed in order to work on implementation and further refinement of the Diversity Strategic Plan. So we're launching the plan now, and the work will begin now and continue on for the next several years. I'll just read this. We didn't talk about how we were going to talk about this. Okay, so we do have a few other items relevant to our charge that we wanted to share. So within the EDC Planning and Assessment Subcommittee, we were charged with finalizing the Diversity Strategic Plan, incorporating feedback that we received from colleagues at those listening and engagement sessions, working with stakeholders to develop measures to assess the Diversity Strategic Plan objectives and goals. So if you look at the Diversity Strategic Plan, there are overarching goals. Within those are objectives, and then within those are action items. We were also charged with taking responsibility for analyzing the assessment data for the strategic plan and providing consultation and collaboration with other EDC committees and their own assessment efforts.
So here's some of the things that we've done so far. We have synthesized and incorporated feedback. A lot of this is from those listening sessions, or feedback sessions from 2018. So we had 3 different ones, and then an online survey. And then we edited the plan for clarity and implementation, making sure we have active voice, consistent word choice, good word choice, clarified responsibilities. This has now been approved by the EDC Steering Committee as well as exec. So we are now launching the plan. And we have developed some tools, tracking tools to see, is this being done? Who's doing it? Starting to help development assessment efforts of, did we do this? And then also, were we successful? So kind of the checkbox of like, yep, we completed this action item, but also, was it successful? Not just completed, but was it successful? So we're working on those sorts of assessment efforts now. And we are in the middle of our communication phase of the strategic plan. So information is available on the staff website. There's an equity diversity link on the staff website under the tools on the right-hand side. Soon it'll be on the LWS, where we're kind of on the spot. An email was sent out in August. We shared with OLT, operational leadership team, also in August, just to make sure all of our managers and directors were kind of on board with what we were doing and aware before they received too many questions. We'll follow up with those supervisors and other supervisors. We presented at all staff yesterday. We're presenting here. We also have requests from a variety of units and departments, and we're going to be making our way around doing this and being available for questions. So if you want us to come to your department, to your unit, one of your regular staff meetings, or set up a special meeting with one of us, we're very happy to do that. So it's all part of this broad communication plan. We hope to meet with the Student Supervisors Forum, and we basically want to keep this visible. So please let us know how we can help you, how we can help your unit keep this visible to help make sure we are all incorporating this into our daily work. So here are the goals as first drafted and then revised. So again, these are the broad strokes. So develop and sustain a culture where all staff are engaged in promoting diversity and inclusion. Develop and sustain a climate where open, respectful, and honest communication occurs at all levels throughout the organization. Develop and sustain an equity and diversity staff development program that facilitates continuous improvement and development of our cultural intelligence through empowerment and encouragement of moving knowledge into practice. And then finally, develop and sustain a culture that reflects and honors diversity in its personnel, collections, services, and spaces. So those are our 4 main goals. And hey, Jules, when does the work start?
Yesterday.
When does the work end?
Never.
Excellent. A little more enthusiasm next time, please, but thank you. So this is just to acknowledge that a lot of good work is already being done, okay? It has already started even before the task force decided we needed an EDC steering committee. There was already good work being done. we're now just making it more systematic and trying to make it so everybody is able to participate in ways that they're comfortable and ways that they're able. And this is also an ongoing process. This work is never going to be completely done. And we're just acknowledging and recognizing that fact. There's always going to be ways that we can improve. And so we're here to help us all do that. So let's go. Don't be shy. Jump on in. Chance to jump on in too.
All right, so just reiterating, we encourage you all to read the strategic plan. It's really not hard to get through. It's quite fascinating reading. So take a look at it. Look at where the diversity strategic plan aligns with your own work, with committees that you're on, with your daily work. Success for this plan requires everyone to participate. We also encourage you to talk with your supervisor. Everyone is required to incorporate diversity-related goals into their annual goals. So talk with your supervisor about how you can incorporate those action items in the diversity strategic plan into your own goals. What's next for the EDC planning and assessment team? As Ellen mentioned, we are responsible for assessing whether or not these action items are being completed, but we're also thinking more deeply about what does success look like. So there's a difference between whether a report has been written or an assessment has been done and whether or not our overarching goals are successful. So we're wrestling with what that means and what that looks like. We're also here to listen. So we're not the experts. We invite you all to share your feedback with us. We're here to support the plan's success, but of course we can't do this alone. So please do share your feedback, concerns, questions with the group. We're looking forward to doing this work with you. Questions for Ellen and I, or our other co-chair who's here in the audience, Jay Ray? Raina has a question.
I have a comment.
Raina has a comment.
I said the nice stuff in staff meeting yesterday.
No, not. I continue to be grateful. Hi, Raina, Chair of the EDC Steering Committee. Two things. Quickly, I hope my doctor told me I'm not supposed to be talking right now. Don't laugh at that. Two things. Three things. One, this committee has done amazing work, and I want to acknowledge that. Two, the perennial concern of people doing social justice work in the libraries is how do we get other people to do it? That concern has become particularly acute with regard to this plan because we say on paper that we're going to do things. So how do we get other people to do it is a question that people have been asking a lot, and the answer is we don't. The success of this work relies entirely on the active participation of other people in the libraries, just like the two of you just said. And I really, really want to stress that point, that social justice efforts in the libraries won't be successful unless other people participate. And it's so, so important. I forgot what the third thing is, and my doctor would probably be happy about that. So I'm going to hand the microphone back over. Any other questions or comments about this diversity strategic plan? Okay, thanks for your time.
Just real quick, if you have any feedback on this, you think of something later, go.west.edu EDC planning feedback. We'll receive it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that concludes the presentations that we have for today. Before you all leave, please grab more treats. Those flyers are on the table, the academic staff professional something. I can't remember left, but it's on the flyer. Thank you. It's on the table. So please grab those when you go. Could we please get a big round of applause for our presenters and also for all of you for coming and participating, and we're really grateful that we're all doing this together. Right, I think that concludes our business meeting.
We'll add 15,362 if anyone has other things they want to talk about.